Hello, everyone. Good Tuesday evening here on January 27th, 2025. We sure hope that all of you in the U.S. are staying as warm as you possibly can. I'm Nick Hill, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, United States, where it was 8 degrees Fahrenheit this morning, Gus. I wish I was in Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil, where it is summer. And I know it's a lot hotter down there right now.
Oh, really, really hot. Right now it's 73 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow, I am jealous. I am very, very
And,
jealous of that.
and I'm jealous of you because I wish it was a little bit chilly. Today was really hot and humid. The weather
Okay,
has been.
so I don't think you should. You think you wanted a little chilly. So I was on Signal Mountain yesterday for a noon live shot, and the wind was probably about 30, 40 miles an hour. It probably felt like 0 degrees up there. I was colder there, here in Tennessee on the mountain, than I was in Ohio last year for the Tennessee Ohio State game. Like, that was the single coldest moment I think of my entire life. Like, it was unbelievable. So definitely, and to be fair, like in Chattanooga, we got very lucky. The ice storm really did not do much to us here in the city of Chattanooga. However, thinking of all the folks back in Nashville, Mississippi, the hundreds of thousands of people without power dealing with this cold weather, ice storms are no joke. You never, if you've never gone through one, you never want to go through one. So in any case, that's just kind of what I've been doing with the last few days. But you know what? Got some time off after the storm. I'm ready to talk some football because, man, we are approaching the end of football season and we only have one more game left to play next week. But before we get into this past weekend, we had some big breaking news this evening as Bill Belichick, who was eligible for the Hall of Fame this year, first go around, is being left out, at least for this year. And reports are, according to apparently, that Bill Polian is saying, quote, that he spearheaded the effort to keep him off, saying that quote, he believed that due to Deflategate and Spygate, he didn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. And that, quote, he should serve a 1-year penalty to be in the Hall of Fame, and that, quote, they will reconsider next year. And you got to remember, Polian, was the GM of the Colts during their run, so there's totally not any animosity there, from him towards Bill Belichick. I mean, it just sounds beyond petty to me to leave him out. I get it, right? Like, oh, you can say it like Spygate and Deflategate led to 2 of the championships. But for one, they didn't do it for all the championships. And 2, you still have to win the games, even when you cheat, right? Like, we saw Jeremy Pruitt cheat and lose to Georgia State and Kentucky at home.
This kind of comment, it's so pettiness. It reminds me. Is the NFL taking lessons from the BBW double? What is the association?
Yeah, the Baseball Writers Association of America.
Yeah. Those folks, I guess, are teaching lessons about how to screw up Hall of Fame in sports. The NFL, I guess, taking the class because there's no reason whatsoever to keep Bill Belichick out of the NFL Hall of Fame. Like, none. I mean, this 1-year penalty, it's such a petty move. I mean, okay, he'll serve what is the penalty? To wait another year, and then, God forbid, I hope he lives really long time, but God forbid something happen, and then you prevented him to be honored, and then you have to do something without him. That will look so, you know, th- if that happens, then it will be look really, really bad
Yeah,
optics.
what happened to Pete Rose, like
Yeah,
the way his entire time, he never got to see him be exonerated. So it's just it's just kind of dumb, right? Like, and I get it, right? Like, people don't like it when certain athletes do certain things or coaches do certain things, but I really don't think cheating only gets you so far, right? Like yeah, you can say Spygate, okay. You have these certain calls, but like you still have to execute. In 2007 was the Spygate. Did the Patriots win the Super Bowl in 2007, Gus?
No, they lost to the New York Giants.
Yeah, and Deflategate. Okay, so allegedly, right? Like Deflategate caused the Colts to lose by 34. Right? Do we think if the balls were properly inflated in the Colts Patriots AFC Championship game, that outcome would have changed at all? That's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't like the betting on themselves or anything. This isn't like what Michigan was doing. You know, I think New England Super Bowls, as annoying as they were, as much as I didn't like the Patriots, were completely legitimate championships. And Bill Belichick being left out of the Hall of Fame to me is beyond ridiculous.
No, I mean what is even more ridiculous that I, from what I understand, he's not being left out. They're just like, oh, we have to give him 1 year punishment. He cannot be a first round Hall of Fame. He has to wait because of those kind of incidents. Like even way worse. Like I would respect more that. Oh, like I would respect more at least the Baseball Writers Association. At least they are like, okay, we don't vote in. We never put that those incidents are a deal breaker. Okay, fine. As much as I disagree and I think it's so stupid, at least they don't bend over. They stand on their principle. But NFL looks like they're gonna just make Bill Belichick wait a year.
Yeah, it's just dumb, and there was something I was gonna say, and I totally forgot it, but you know,
So I guess when Sean Payton goes, um, you know, and retires, and he's gonna have to wait another year because of Bounty Gate.
I would say so. Oh yeah, the thing I was going to bring up is, do we think that Belichick being at North Carolina right now with the antics with his much younger girlfriend is playing a part in this? Like, uh,
Uh, if that's so, then we even make even more stupid because okay, you can have an opinion on it, like, oh, I don't like the way maybe she's using him, or maybe she's overreach, the relationship. But Jordan Hudson has nothing to do with Bill Belichick's career at the National Football League. Like the Hall of Fame evaluates the time he was head coach in the National Football League, especially with the New England Patriots and the dynasty that he ran for almost 2 decades. Like nothing outside of that should be counted on.
correct, correct, and Bill Belichick will be in the Hall of Fame eventually. It should have been today, but I
Definitely
guess
should.
we're gonna have to wait because people are mad for whatever reason, and hey, that's just human nature for to do stupid things for no reason.
Maybe Jason Warwick, I don't know if he's listening or not. Maybe he'll have other opinions because it feels like there's a lot of resentment as the cold
No,
thing is
I was talking to him earlier, and he said that Belichick should have been in, even as someone who hated the Patriots, who hates the Patriots. Uh,
okay. I am glad he is not, kind of taking his coach fandom and taking to extreme. Like I'm appreciate he has some reason. I guess he has like kind of more wisdom than the guy you mentioned that he used to be like a coach GM.
oh yeah, the Napoleon, the GM.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so just a wild decision there by the Hall of Fame. Definitely making the headlines tonight. But speaking of the New England Patriots, our Super Bowl is set. And it started off in a snowy Denver. That the Patriots beating the Broncos 10-7. It was Not a lot happened in this game. I mean, you had obviously the Broncos got to an early lead. The Patriots tied it up at halftime, and then it just was a slugfest to the end, defensive slugfest, and the Patriots were able to get it done. And it feels like if you're the Broncos, you got to be sick. Like what if you had Bro Nix? Like Bo Nix. I think the Broncos definitely win this game.
But yeah, the Denver Broncos right now are kind of what the San Francisco 49ers, been going through the last few seasons, the what ifs. Oh, what if Brock Purdy didn't got hurt and Mac and we had to go to the third string quarterback? What if, you you play while you're available, and the New England Patriots had uh also, shout out to my boss, Claudio Bonaldo, Rio Branco president, watching us. Vamos falar do Tigrão daqui a pouco. We're going to talk about Rio Branco really soon. But in terms of, and first and foremost, Nicholas Hill, as a Tennessee Titans fan, does it hurt to see Mike Vrabel achieving the Super Bowl, not with the
I mean,
Titans, but
I'm happy for him. Like I am very happy for him. I mean, good for him. He
no,
got
no,
a
no,
ring. He got him
not,
shrunk.
not, not like no, I'm not saying happy for him, but the anger towards the ownership of the Titans grow even more.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's proper for me to dislike Amy Adams Strunk anymore based on this decision because I think I've made it very clear what I think of Amy Adams Strunk. She doesn't know what she's doing. Um, my hope moving forward on Amy Adams Strunk is that she kind of removes herself from any football related decisions. Clearly, the decision to get rid of Mike Vrabel was a bad one. It was just a very bad one, and Vrabel is not a perfect coach. Yeah, he really isn't. But clearly, he deserved a chance to stick around and help turn around the Titans because the problems were not his fault. And there's an argument to be made that like he would have just left the Titans anyway to go to the Patriots when the
Oh yeah,
opportunity. Like, I mean, I think he was leaving regardless. So I'm not like, oh my god, I cannot believe Mike Vrabel went to the Super Bowl New England. Like that's
no, I don't think any Titans fan are having the feeling. It's just I see a lot of videos on the internet reflecting that how good of a coach he is,
yeah,
uh, and and considering that he was let go, that it says more about the Titans ownership than Mike Vrabel's capacity as a head coach, because no Patriots fan, if you ask any New England Patriots fan at the beginning of the season and tell the Patriots were going to the Super Bowl, they would have been like, "No way, you're crazy. We're halfway through a rebuild." But and a lot of people are saying about, "Oh, it's an easy schedule." The Patriots play who are they supposed to play?
right. And
NFL is not college football. Like the NFL is not college football. You don't pick and choose your non-conference games. You play what the NFL stipulates. You play.
Yeah. And I think some people are gonna make the argument like, oh, like the Patriots gauntlet in the postseason wasn't great. I mean, the Chargers were a really good team. The Texans actually had a great defense, and the offense completely self-destructed. And then you got to play the Broncos with a backup quarterback. So there's gonna be some who are gonna say, oh, well, the Patriots kind of got lucky in the AFC playoffs, which to an extent, I can grant because I think the one team that would have beaten them handily here would have been the Bills. But hey, the Bills failed to win their game. So, what you can't, hold that against the New England Patriots here. Which obviously they're way ahead of schedule, as you said. Like the stars align for them perfectly here to make the Super Bowl this year. They should have never made it. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. Just to be honest with you, everyone at full strength, they're not the best team. But hey, they're the one who stayed the healthiest. They're the one who took advantage of everyone else's misfortune, and they're here. And you have to give credit to Mike Vrabel, who is the most versatile coach, in my opinion, in the NFL. mean, he got the Titans to a 1 seed when he had to play 90 players in a season. So, Drake May, he did enough. Like Drake May hasn't exactly like wowed this postseason, but like he has done enough. He's a lot like a young Tom Brady in terms of that. The stat sheet doesn't wow you, but he does enough. He doesn't make critical mistakes like his opponents have done, and the
And
yeah.
and you brought up a good point. How frustrating for Buffalo Bills fans. You know, they were supposed to be the franchise of the AFC East throughout this 2020s decade. They were supposed to dominate the division with Josh Allen, but Josh Allen arrived the league. Patriots lost their quarterback Tom Brady. Fire Bill Belichick, fire Jerome Mayo, and the Bills fans were like, okay, we got the division. Like we're just an inch away from the Super Bowl, and then the Patriots go through a rebuild and then back to the Super Bowl. The Bills fans are like, there's no way. Like how cursed of a franchise we are to see our division rivals go through a rebuild and make it to the Super Bowl before we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely painful. There's a reason why Sean McDermott got fired. It's because the Bills should be here, and it's
Yeah,
because of Sean McDermott that they're not there because
yeah,
of the asinine decision in the game in Denver. Like Vrabel was able to win in Denver, and McDermott wasn't, and McDermott deserved to be fired.
yeah, yeah. Like this year was supposed to be for the Bills. The Bills was supposed to be in the Super Bowl. Like that's why Sean McDermott was fired. Like I agree with you.
Yeah. Speaking of firing, the Broncos have fired their OC post this game, which honestly, I feel like that was completely unfair. I mean, what was the OC supposed to do? He had his backup quarterback, and the offense looked pretty good throughout the year. I don't really understand firing Vince
I guess,
Lombardi. Or,
I guess Sean Payton wanted to see more of the OC with the quarterback limitations. Like, okay, we go to a backup quarterback. Now it's your time to shine and make your offense work. And the offense didn't work.
right, but like you did not have your franchise quarterback. I mean, it seems kind of weird to me. Like, oh, our offense wasn't any good. I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't have your quarterback. Like, I don't understand that. But hey, Sean Payton knows best, right? So we'll see what happens there with the Broncos. That seems like a really just a weird decision. Um, yeah, for the Broncos though, hey, I think long term, right? It's just what's the health of Bo Nix? Is he going to be healthy for next year? And two, right? Like, I mean, this year was definitely like everything would have gone perfectly if Bo Nix hadn't gotten hurt. I mean, can you like run that back? Whenever Patrick Mahomes gets healthy again, you're about to have the Raiders show up with Fernando Mendoza. How much better are they going to be? The Chargers have made a change at OC. Can Mike McDaniel get things going with Justin Herbert? I mean, it's not guaranteed the Broncos are going to be this good again next year. So it feels like they really blew at their chance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I think the Broncos will be back with, it's a young Bo Nix. Sean Payton's not going anywhere. But definitely Broncos fans. And they're talking about the snow. Of course, the Patriots, it would even out the playing field because, if there's a team, if, for example, the Miami Dolphins would have played that game, probably the Broncos would have more advantage. But, the Patriots are used to playing in the snow. They are a Northeastern team.
Yeah. I mean, Denver gets a lot of snow, so I don't really feel like both of those teams know how to play in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, New England back in the Super Bowl for the first time since, was it 2018 was the last time they were in it. So I thought we were done with New England, and we are not done with New England.
Their last Super Bowl, they beat the Rams.
Yes, yeah, the 13-3. That's probably the worst Super Bowl
I've ever won. I was going to say that was really, really rough Super Bowl.
Yeah, such a boring game. Speaking of the Rams, they will not see the Rams again. Instead, we're going to get another Super Bowl rematch. The rematch of probably maybe the best, if not one of the best for sure. Super Bowls. Was it 2015? I want to make sure I
Yeah,
get
no,
my
2013, 2014.
Yeah,
No,
2014.
no,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Hold on.
No, no,
Let me
20,
look at the
2014, 2015, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, because the 2013-14 one was when they destroyed the Broncos.
Yeah.
Which hey, we almost got that one too. So like we could have had any combination of because like with Seahawks Broncos would have been a rematch. Rams Patriots would have been a rematch. I don't think the Rams and Broncos had ever played each other, so that would have been the one that would have been unique. But these are all teams that we're used to seeing in the Super Bowl in the past 10 to 15 years, and so the Seahawks. This will be the third time. Actually, no, this will be the fourth time I've seen the Seahawks in the Super Bowl because they got there in 2005. They lost to the Steelers. That was Big Ben's first Super Bowl, and then of course they made it back-to-back years where they won one in the trouncing of Denver, and then the follow-up year was the infamous goal line situation, the goal line blunder, throwing the interception to Malcolm Butler.
I wonder if Malcolm Butler is going to be invited to this game. Like, he deserves to be there.
Oh yeah, yeah, probably one of the most legendary plays in NFL history to win that game. But this game was awesome. But the Seahawks Rams NFC title game was a fantastic football game, and this really, to me, this became a Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba versus Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua. Like it just felt like an absolute shootout. The two best quarterback wide receiver duos in the league going up and down the field. And for the Rams, they weren't able to convert that last big fourth down with 5 minutes to go. There are some people who think that they shouldn't have gone for it there, but I think they should have. I mean, their defense was getting carved. And for the Rams, I think their big deficiency this year was their secondary. And that's what ultimately let them down, right? Like they could not cover Jackson Smith-Njigba at all. And I think the Rams will be looking to get better there. Of course, the question is how much longer are you going to have Matt Stafford? He still is playing at a very high level. I mean, Stafford was great in this game. So, it's just the Rams. It's not that they played bad here. At least the offense played very well. The defense got carved by a Sam Darnold that was locked in. And to me, it's just like I can't believe we're talking about Sam Darnold winning the NFC Championship game, going to the Super Bowl. Let me pose this because you asked me, does it hurt to see Mike Vrabel go to Super Bowl? So let me ask you, does it hurt to see Sam Darnold be this good and make the Super Bowl? Because
I'll have the same answer as you did. It definitely, I'm happy for him, but it also proves that for a really talented quarterback, failed in your first team doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna fail as a quarterback in the league. You eventually will find a team that would give you the weapons to shine. That's the lesson of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and we've seen this several times now. Ryan Tannehill had a good run with the Titans. Daniel Jones, before he got hurt this past year, looked really good with Indianapolis. So it makes you wonder if a guy like, an Anthony Richardson, for example, if he ever gets it together, like he could be really good. I mean, I know Justin Fields I think we're kind of done with him, but like a guy like Tua, I think will get a second chance somewhere else because he's shown enough promise, right? And some people are trying to like make the argument that, oh, Cam Ward wasn't that good his rookie year. I'm like, first and foremost, Cam Ward was really good this year. He just didn't have a lot of people to throw to. But in any case, he's going to get a lot better. And I think the story of Sam Darnold should be a lesson of like never give up on a quarterback after a year. And also for the Jets, I mean, what does that organization need to do differently to develop quarterbacks? Because they can't clearly develop any. They get to develop when they leave.
I guess it's a hope for what is it? BYU quarterback?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, maybe who inspires Zach Wilson?
Yeah, like a Trey Lance, could he find a way to unbust himself? But this is like one of the greatest unbusting of a quarterback I've ever seen because Sam Darnold was written off as a straight up bust, and he's playing awesome. Like, and you just have to go to a competent organization. Seattle is a very competent organization. I mean, because it really felt like Seattle was going to go into the tank for a while after the Pete Carroll era ended, after they got rid of Russell Wilson, bring in Geno Smith. I'm like, oh, Seattle is going to be terrible, but they never really were. They even at their worst, they were still like a 500 team. They bring in the Ravens DC, McDonald, and this year it just clicked. It just absolutely clicked for him. And they got great running backs with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Obviously, I mean, JSN, like, I still think Puka is probably the best receiver, but JSN made a case for being the best wide receiver. Like, he's unbelievable, you know? And like he's been unbelievable since he was a freshman at Ohio State, But I feel like he got overshadowed by like Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit. When we think about like all time, like all these great Ohio State receivers that have come out over the past 10 years, but JSN has been a lot better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, granted, you could say that, Marvin Harrison Jr. is stuck in a bad team. So that's why. But JSN's just been dominant. He's been by far the most dominant Ohio State receiver in the league, and it makes you wonder, can Jeremiah Smith come in and have this type of performance when he comes into the league? Can Carnell Tate play like this when he gets into the league? These obviously Ohio State typically has the best receivers in college football.
Yeah, it's a great point. How but also, you mentioned something interesting. Yeah, out of the four teams that made it for like conference championships, two had to get rid of Russell Wilson to improve, especially Denver.
Russell Wilson's still the highest paid player on Denver. At least he was this year because of the cap hit, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, because of the god awful contract. For me, Russell Wilson's contract with Denver, second worst in the league of all time.
Yeah, if you look at it, what does it say about Russell Wilson's legacy? Like Aaron Rodgers hasn't been great the last few years, but he still dragged Pittsburgh into the playoffs this year. Still dragged them to an AFC North title. Russell Wilson has just gone out incredibly sad. He got benched for a rookie this year. And yeah, he won a Super Bowl, but is he any better than where does he rank really? Truly all time? Because to me, I don't think he's any better than a Joe Flacco.
No, yeah. No.
Yeah, but for the Seahawks, that's just a good, around.
Is he? What is the difference between Russell Wilson and Trent Dilfert?
Oh, I think Wilson had more good regular seasons than Dilfer. Russell's definitely better than Dilfer, but they do have the same amount of rings. But then again, that's arguing Trent Dilfer was better than Phillip Rivers all time, which is just not the case. Dilfer's not better than Dan Marino all time, just because it didn't have any rings. Dilfer's not better than Josh Allen because he doesn't have any rings. He's not better than Lamar Jackson, who doesn't.
He was just a quarterback in a really good team that had an amazing defense, just like Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point because that Legion of Boom, that 2013-14 Seahawks defense is one of the best defenses ever. So, it's like Peyton Manning in his second championship. He got carried by a defense. Granted, 2006, he won one in his prime. So, you can't hold that. So, Peyton has proven he can win when he was at the top of his game. But, let's be honest. Peyton won his second championship being carried by the Broncos defense.
Yes, because it was funny that when the last really good season the Peyton Manning had, he got destroyed in the Super Bowl. So ironically, then he was able to close out his amazing career with a ring carried by a defense. But nonetheless, I think the two most deserving teams this season made it to the Super Bowl. There's nothing to question: Seahawks and Patriots. And also, how funny that from that generational quarterback young talent, both classes, from Drake May and Sam Darnold, from both of those guys' classes, we would expect someone else to make the Super Bowl, not them.
Right. And I don't want to talk too much about this matchup yet because obviously I would like to save that for because we always do like our special Super Bowl show next week where
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah, yeah.
talk
Let's see
about
for next
everything.
week.
Just one sentence. One thought. Just kind of what's your one thought about this game before we really get into it next week?
New generation NFL. I think that's really now full transition from one generation to the other. Because now it feels like of course we had the Chiefs dynasty, so they'll kind of still on that mid 2010s generation. But yeah, I think it's there's even like there's no superstars in neither of those teams on the field.
For me, my one thought is I hope it isn't another blowout 'cause we saw one last year, and I am kind of concerned this could be another one. I think one team here has looked way better than the other one in this postseason. Um, but we'll go into that more next week. That's my big thought. I don't because I hate when the Super Bowl's a blowout, right? It's the last football game of the year. I want it to be a good competitive game. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and it's funny that Seattle has blown out one Super Bowl, but as far as I remember, the Patriots never had a blowout Super Bowl they won.
yeah, well, I mean, they were gonna get blown out by the Falcons, and then we know what happened. We saw what
Yeah,
happened there.
yeah.
Man, I still can't believe they 28-3. Well, we'll
I
definitely talk more about the Seahawks Patriots, the Super Bowl. We'll talk about the halftime. Well, at least the controversy surrounding the halftime. Are you going to watch the normal halftime show or are you going to watch the Turning Point USA halftime show? I mean,
really, really.
there's going to be a counter-programmed halftime show because there's a lot of people who are mad about Bad Bunny being the halftime act. But we'll talk more about all that next week on our Super Bowl preview show. But some other NFL news though, and this was silly. I saw this yesterday. So in lieu of Drake May going to the Super Bowl, he's not going to be in the Pro Bowl this week, the Pro Bowl games this week, because it isn't a real football game anymore. So Shador Sanders is going to be on the AFC Pro Bowl team, despite throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. I mean, guys, like, I don't know what are we doing here with this?
The outside of the MLB, those all-star games from especially NBA and the NFL, they're completely lost. They're just figuring out as they go. And now with flag football, I like when it was AFC NFC game in Hawaii, traditional.
Right. And it's just a pointless exercise. Like I get that people watch it. I don't understand how you can sit there and watch the Pro Bowl. Like it's not a real sporting event. And I guess they're trying to see if flag football would work in case they legally ever have to move to it for injury reasons, but it just sucks now. And the fact that we have Shador Sanders as a Pro Bowler it's a complete joke. Like, I mean, you might as well have Cam Ward out there. I mean, because Cam Ward has much better stats, you know. But we live in a universe where Shador Sanders is considered a Pro Bowler. It just no, he's not a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. This is more of two
Yeah,
parts. One, they know people will tune in because of Shador Sanders, and two, there's probably no one else who wants to play in this. Like, do you think Josh Allen wants to play in this? No. Like, he wants to go, recover and also he has a baby on the way. So yeah, I mean he's got better things to do than go play flag football. Just put it like that. Shador can go and do that. It's just dumb. I don't care about the Pro Bowl. So anyway, let's move on. Speaking of the Bills, though, they have promoted Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator, to head coach, which is an interesting decision. So you fire McDermott. You want to keep the OC because obviously the offense really wasn't the issue. Well, I'll say this: the Bills fans weren't too happy with Brady throughout parts of this year. But as long as you have Josh Allen, he can cover up a lot of deficiencies. But Joe Brady's never really been a head coach. Now, obviously, his journey, he really got bursted on the national scene when he was the architect of the 2019 LSU offense. You know, he had Joe Burrow and Chase and Justin Jefferson, not Amari Jefferson. Um, Jamar Chase, and it's just that offense was unbelievable. And so he got into the NFL after that, and he's had a good run with the Bills, and he's now going to be the head coach. I just, if you're gonna like fire McDermott, which I do think was the right call, I'm kind of surprised they weren't able to get a bigger name, right? Because it's like, oh my god, like I can go work with Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks, maybe the single best quarterback right now in the NFL. But you have to wonder if the Bills owner coming out saying, "Yeah, I fired him in a fit of rage after the loss," and that really scared away more competent coaches. You know?
I would say so, probably because, and it's so funny how the franchises that people would feel would be really good jobs are taking even longer to hire or hiring, from within. So the Ravens still don't have a head coach, and the Bills have to go promote their OC.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be the true solution. The true solution to me is, for one, that GM should have been replaced. The talent around Josh Allen is not good. So
Yeah,
I just don't know if this is going to really change anything. So just, yeah, Josh Allen's going to have to play hero ball again. It looks like for the Buffalo Bills, which as we've seen is just, it's not enough. It's never going to be enough in Buffalo. Okay, Pittsburgh, the Steelers, they have hired Mike McCarthy as their head coach. This will be his third go around. Of course, he won a Super Bowl with the Packers. Cowboys was not able to. So Steelers fans I've seen are not too happy about this. They feel like they just hired Mike Tomlin again, a guy who was really good 15 years ago, and
it
is
kind of this hire showed how the front office of the Pittsburgh Steelers are stuck in the era from the 2000s to early 2010s. They're stuck in that time. They should have gone with a younger head coach. Instead, they went to a safer option from the coach who lost, a coach who beat them in the Super Bowl, right?
yeah. McCarthy beat them. McCarthy's only Super Bowl win was over the Steelers in 2011. So it's weird. It just feels like a hire where the Steelers think they can still compete.
Yeah.
But I raise with what quarterback? Because Rodgers isn't coming back. Like, who's the quarterback going to be? Is it going to be like Are you bringing in like Tua? Are we going to trade for like Kyler Murray? I mean, that's probably the best case scenario because I think the Cardinals are probably looking to trade. I know a lot of folks think that Miami might trade for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray on like the Steelers would be interesting.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find a new quarterback. But the question is, I guess right now is the same situation. For example, here in Brazil, Gabigol was a Cruzeiro, then Chichi was hired, then probably I don't know for a fact, but I would imagine Gabigol went to Cruzeiro's front office, be like, trade me, and lend me, find another team, and he eventually went to Santos because Gabigol and Chichi had a really bad relationship. Do you think McCarthy being hired is a signal that definitely Aaron Rodgers not staying in Pittsburgh
I
because
would.
of
So
that?
there's no way those two are playing with each other again. There's just no way.
Yeah, I agree.
But the thing with the Steelers, though, is at some point you got to stop chasing this idea that you're competitive and tank. They're gonna have to take. They're like the late stage New Orleans Saints under Drew Brees. They're chasing this idea that they're relevant. And I'm sorry, but there's not any. I don't think there's anything they can do without blowing it up right now that will not just lead them to continue to be mediocre.
Yeah, they're in the limbo. They are in the not bad enough to tank, not good enough to compete for a title.
Yeah. So we'll see what the Steelers do moving forward there. Mike McCarthy, the head coach. Now, my Tennessee Titans, of course, last week we hired Robert Saleh as head coach. He has hired his offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, the former Giants head coach, was the OC for the Bills before that. Really developed Josh Allen. And I think that's a part of this that makes me that honestly, I'm cool with this hire. Because I know Dable wasn't a great head coach, but there's a different skill set between an OC and an HC. And Dable was a very good OC for Buffalo. And with a young quarterback in Cam Ward, I trust Dable to develop Cam Ward. I think that's an excellent hire. He can run the offense. I trust Robert Saleh with the defense. I think we have massively upgraded at coaching with these two hires. Absolutely. Now it's just incumbent on our GM, Mike Berzoni, to upgrade the talent on the roster. Because as I've talked about numerous times, it felt like we had high school level talent at times surrounding Cam Ward. I mean, this was one of the least talented NFL rosters I've ever seen. I think that will change. I think we will get a better roster, and I expect to see improvement year one. I don't expect to see playoffs next year. Now, granted, we saw a lot of turnarounds this year. We saw the Patriots go from 4 wins to the Super Bowl. We saw Jacksonville go from 4 wins to winning the AFC South at 13 wins. It's not impossible, but I don't expect that. The Titans just have so many holes they got to fill. But hopefully, it feels like for the first time in a couple of years, there are adults in charge again at the Tennessee Titans organization. It's incumbent that Amy Adams Strunk stays out of the way. Just sign the checks and let everyone else do their job. Just because she has been way too meddling the past several years, and it's led to the Titans being absolute garbage. But, unlike the Steelers, being stuck in mediocrity, the Titans have actually been tanking, and we've gotten, Cam Ward, and we're going to have another high draft pick here. The latest mock draft seems to think we'll take an offensive lineman like a Francis Mawaga from Miami, which is definitely a need. Like, the offensive line was not good. Personally, I really want a receiver. I want someone that Cam Ward can throw to. That's not, the sports gambler Calvin Ridley, but it's a rebuild. It's a long process, but I do think this is a good start for the Titans.
Oh yeah, I mean, but Robert Saleh had to go with a more bold offensive coordinator because he's more like a defensive coach. So I guess getting Brian Dable was signal that the Titans are, figuring out their steps.
Yeah. One hire that I really do love here is the Chargers hiring Mike McDaniel as their OC. I think him and Herbert are going to do some numbers together.
But first of all, it's so funny that McDaniels and Harbaugh are two completely different personalities.
They really are. And you got to wonder what from an ego perspective, right? Because we know Jim Harbaugh has a massive ego. And typically it runs his offense to be ran in a certain way. Is he going to let Mike McDaniel go in there and run the offense the way he wants? Because I think if Harbaugh is smart, he's going to pull a Saban from Alabama and realize, okay, the way I'm doing offense isn't working because I have a great defense, but we couldn't score a touchdown in the playoffs. So that's why you bring in Mike McDaniel to see if he can fix that. And my one criticism of Mike McDaniel teams is they tend to be soft. They tend to not be able to run and like 4th and shorts. Like I watched him in the preseason against the Chicago Bears get stuffed 4 straight times at the goal line. It may be one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen from an NFL team. But McCarthy is very creative. And as someone who owns Amari and Hampton in fantasy in the Dynasty League, like look at what he did with like Devon Achane, I am pumped. So I think Amari and Hampton, like his stock is incredibly high. He's going to be nuts in this offense. So I am pumped to see Mike McDaniel with the Chargers. But in any case, I hear.
No, what? You break up.
Oh no, good. I was just hearing some sirens outside. But in any case, we continue on. I was just
And,
any
and,
more Chargers.
and Arthur Smith going back to offensive coordinator. Good for Ohio State.
Yeah, I think Ohio State, they did this last year with Matt Patricia going down, and Patricia was awesome this year. So Arthur Smith, I think he will do very well with Ohio State. I mean, of course, he having a massive talent advantage, of course, but hey, we see guys go there for a year or two and then be able to bounce back up to a bigger job. And the last OC is the Chiefs are bringing back Eric Bieniemy. Of course, Bieniemy cooked for a long time as the OC of the Chiefs. He's never been a head coach for just a really weird situation. Supposedly, he's not a good interview, apparently, is what people say. But, it's a weird situation because we don't know if the Chiefs are going to have Patrick Mahomes next year.
Yeah, if he's going to be full health or not. That's the question.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do. I think next year is could be a transition season for Kansas City, but I expect them to be back in about 2 to 3 years.
I agree.
All right. So moving into college football real quick. So big news out of Miami here. Darian Minso, who was a quarterback at Duke, led to the ACC championship. He has reached a settlement with Duke. He is going to transfer to Miami after all. Shady on his part the way this went down, but for Miami, this is massive. I think Minso is a very talented quarterback, and I think for Miami, this puts them squarely back in national championship conversation next year. And this could be the missing piece. I think Carson Beck was one of the weak links of Miami this year.
Yeah, it's a very, and it shows the, it kind of shows how, it kind of shows the new reality of college football. It kind of shows that we are mirroring a semi-pro league with settlements and transfers. It feels like free agency, so it's a new world.
Yeah, it's just complete chaos, and hopefully at some point we'll get some structure here, but I don't know when that's going to be. Also, while we're on college football, of course, I want to mention that the Big Ten released their schedule this tonight. Indiana is going to have to go. We'll have back-to-back games against Ohio State and Michigan next year. So Ohio State will go to Bloomington on October 17th. Then Indiana goes to Michigan the week after. So that's an interesting back-to-back. Like Oregon goes to Ohio State next year. Michigan will go to Penn State next year. So those are some of the big ones. Ohio State travels to Iowa and Nebraska. Ohio State has to go all the way to USC next year, which is fascinating. And they go to Texas as well. So Ohio State has a pretty hard schedule next year. But obviously, we'll talk way more about that when we get closer to next year's football season. But just the schedule coming out now for the Big Ten. One last college football note is the Vols. They got several new transfers. They're continuing to sign guys, which I'm very pleased to see. All the folks are kind of quiet about like, oh, Josh Heupel can't recruit. Well, he's signed like 25 dudes now out of the portal. I don't know where those people went. But he did sign a defensive back from Miami, Jadaeus Richard, who has over 50 tackles in his career. Always good to add depth. So I'm glad we were adding that, especially to a position group that we just struggled mightily in this year. Mostly due to injury, but we definitely need to get a lot better there at secondary. Also, speaking of Heupel, Gus, today is 5 years. January 27th, 2021 was the day Josh Heupel was hired.
Wow, feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, his record, he was 45-20 in the last 5 years. Do you know what the record was the 5 years before that, Gus?
Negative.
Yep, 29-31, a losing record, and you got people wanting to run Heupel out of the state. It doesn't make sense. I get the Heupel's not perfect. He's not perfect. I've criticized him plenty on this podcast, but you know, I just show me a coach. If you fire him, who are you replacing him with? Right? That's better. That would make Tennessee instantly better, right? Uh, you know, and I get it. Like we want to all be a championship contending program, um, but the moves he's made this offseason makes me think that he he knows he had to make some changes this offseason, right? Like, changing defensive coordinators, bringing in a new strength and conditioning coach, getting rid of some dead weight on the team. I think this Tennessee team has a chance to be much better next year. Depending on what happens here with the Joey situation, of course, he's supposed to be in court in 2 weeks on February the 10th. So we'll see if he gets allowed to come back for another year. If Joey doesn't come back, then it's the George McIntyre show. And I think he'll be pretty good. So, I'm excited for Tennessee football next year.
Hopefully, it'll be better than this year from 2025 season. Definitely.
I really hope so. Speaking of the Vols on the basketball court, what a win the other night for the Volunteers, going to Alabama. They were underdogs here. It was the first game where they weren't ranked in 90 weeks. So a little bit of unfamiliar territory for Rick Barnes and the crew, and they were down 10 early. But Nana Mint, he is coming into his own, Gus. He had 29 the other night. He was just awesome. Like, he was slicing and dicing, hitting mid-rangers, getting to the rim. He's putting it together. And he's starting to look like the player I thought he was going to in the preseason. Jacoby Gillespie had a pretty good game, didn't have a lot of turnovers, and they won. They won on the road, a massive win. They're back ranked now. They're ranked, I think, number 21, 22, something like that. But they're back in the top 25. And I want to pull up some bracketology here. I've got this pulled up. This is a kind of give you an idea of what we're seeing here now, because I want to show this at least once every episode between now and March, because we only have like 7 weeks until March Madness begins. And of course, I've got a multi-view going here, and probably the biggest game ongoing, we do have Purdue at Indiana. Indiana is actually leading Purdue right now, 32-25 in Bloomington. And then you got Vanderbilt hosting Kentucky. Vandy's up by 13. I'm kind of shocked Vandy's even playing, considering the mess that Nashville is in. But you can see that right now, the number 1 overall seed would be Arizona. I'm not going to go through all of this. Note, like, Vandy at the 4 seed. The UConn would be a 1 seed according to this. Louisville would be a 6 seed. Duke would be a 1 seed hosting UT Martin. Okay, so Tennessee right now would be a 6 seed in this bracketology projection and playing either New Mexico or Virginia Tech in the first round, paired up with Texas Tech and Portland State. So, I mean, that would be a tough draw. Of course, when you're a 6 seed, it's a tough draw no matter what. So I think best case scenario, if the Vols can go on a run over the next month, maybe they could play their way up to a 5 or a 4 seed. That would be, I think, perhaps more ideal. Maybe like if you really go on a run, maybe you can get yourself up to a 3 seed, maybe, But honestly, if we're being honest, though, I don't know really how much it matters to the difference between like a 3 and a 7 seed, right? Because it's all about like how you're playing actually in March. I do think Tennessee has a pretty high ceiling. And you can see kind of the projection history, because they started off preseason as a 4, and they kind of just hovered around a 4 to a 6 all year. So they've been pretty consistent. And I know, and this year's been frustrating at times, but they're pretty much playing about where I think they were projected to preseason. It's not as good as the last 2 years, but let's be real. The last 2 years were the 2 best teams in school history. And we have to remember that this team is still probably one of the top 10 teams in school history. And they feel frustrating because Rick Barnes has just elevated our expectations.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, regular season not going good. Maybe that will translate to a better March.
Yeah, we're sitting here saying, "Oh, the regular season isn't going that well. We're a 6th seed." I remember times where I would have been over the moon to be the 6th seed. Like that. I grew up half the time Tennessee not even being in the tournament, right? So yeah, this year has felt frustrating, but like we're still well within the tournament. We're nowhere close to a bubble. You can see the last 1 seed right now is Michigan, who just beat Nebraska. They came back to win that game in Nebraska, obviously having an amazing season. That was their first loss tonight. So we only have 2 undefeated teams, which are Arizona, who is the number 1 overall seed, and then you have Miami of Ohio, who's an 11 seed right now, Gus. They are an undefeated team. Like at this rate, like if they keep on winning and not lose, they could possibly afford to lose in their conference tournament and still get in as an at-large, as a MAC team, because they've not lost a single game, which I think would be deserved. Like if they make it to like the MAC title game and they're like 30-0 and lose the title game, I think they would deserve to be an at-large at like 30-1. Because I think it'd be unfair to leave them out over 1 game.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation. Definitely.
How about ETSU though? Playing Purdue, that would be pretty cool. But of course, that obviously
Oh,
all depends on what happens. But anyway, obviously this will continue to massively shuffle around, and when we get to the all right, let's go to the bubble here real quick. So these are some of the teams to watch out for the next couple of weeks. So Wisconsin, Ohio State, UCLA, Miami, the last 4 byes. The last 4 in right now is USC, New Mexico, Virginia Tech, and Texas. The first 4 out is Seton Hall, Indiana, Santa Clara, and TCU. In Indiana right now is up by 9 against Purdue. So that would be a massive one to potentially get Indiana into the tournament. Then you got Missouri, Stanford, Creighton, California. Missouri is down by 25 at Alabama right now. That's not a good result for them. They need some big wins down the stretch to get themselves in. So that's just interesting. This is about the time of year I really start looking at how this goes. And just really quickly on the women's side of things, just to take a quick look at this, of course, UConn right now is your top overall seed. Hey, Chattanooga, shout out to them. I mean, hey, if you beat Binghamton in the playing game, you get to play Gino, which, I mean, let's be real, wouldn't end well, but hey, it would be cool to see the Lady Mocs make it again. And then you got Iowa here at 2. Obviously far from the Caitlin Clark days. South Carolina 1 seed, and Tennessee, I believe they were further down here. UCLA is a 1 seed. Got Vanderbilt being a 2 seed. The Vandy's a 4 seed in the men's and a 2 seed in the women, coming off a 10-win football season. I don't like how good Vanderbilt sports are now. I hate it. But Tennessee
and
gets
they're destroying Kentucky right now.
I know, like it's different times. All right, here's Tennessee. They would actually be hosting it at TBA, the Food City Center. They would be the free seed because remember last year they had to go on the road to Columbus and they beat Ohio State there. So there they would be potentially hosting teams like Princeton, which I think this would be a very solid chance for them to get back to the Sweet 16. And look, who would they possibly be playing? Jason, we've done this before. Tennessee, Louisville in the Sweet 16 before. We did this, I think, in like 2019, 2020, something like that. So what about this if we got Tennessee, Louisville in the women's basketball tournament again? I hope that doesn't happen for Jason's sake, but in any case, in the bubbles there, Oregon, Iowa State, which actually this is shocking because Audie Crook's one of the best players in women's basketball. They're kind of surprising to see them on the bye list. You got USC, Villanova, and USC too. Like, I mean, they've got some good players as well. The last 4 in right now is Virginia Tech, Arizona State, Clemson, and Utah. Then you got BYU. So I don't know when Utah and BYU play on the women's side, but that's going to be a massive game. Virginia, Miami, South Dakota State as a mid-major, kind of making some noise there. Richmond, Seton Hall, Colorado, and Davidson. So definitely it's going to be fun to watch how the bubbles, how they go up and down, but it's almost February. So the bracketology is about to heat up. Get those debates ready to go on who should be in, who should be out, as we are getting closer to Selection Sunday. Actually, I want to see how many days are we away from Selection Sunday, because it is March 15th. How many days to March 15th? It's it's so nuts, and I'm so excited for it to be March. I'm just excited for it to be warm again. It's 47 days till Selection Sunday, and then it'll be March Madness time. All right, real quick, just still on basketball, NBA, real quick though. Giannis got hurt again. It just feels like his time in Milwaukee is coming to an end. He's going to be traded, I think, in the next year. It feels like the Bucks have accomplished what they're going to accomplish with him, and they're not going to come back. I think they're not. They at least they got the title.
Yeah, they got one title, one ring, but they weren't able to make it a dynasty as everybody expected.
Yeah. Real quick, some quick NASCAR notes. They are getting rid of the Charlotte Roval, the road course inside Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're going to race on the oval instead, which I think is a great move during the chase. It leaves no road courses during the last 10 races, which I don't love. I wish they'd moved like Watkins Glen into there just to have a road race in the end. But I do think getting rid of the Roval and putting it with the oval is the right move. Like the Roval I liked, but this car that NASCAR has now just races better on ovals. And actually, we're supposed to have a race this week, Gus. We're supposed to race Sunday night at Bowman Gray Stadium in the Clash and the quarter-mile track. The only problem is there is snow on the ground in Winston-Salem. There might be more snow this weekend in North Carolina, so they may have to cancel the race due to snow, which I don't know. I think has happened once before. There was a race at Bristol in like 2008 that had to be delayed because of snow. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does occasionally at the very beginning of the season. So, they think they try to put the races far enough south to avoid it, but sometimes, like, it's just like, NASCAR, they can't really race in the rain. They can't race in snow either. So, they should try to make them race in ice, possibly. Could you imagine the chaos of that, Gus?
It wouldn't make a great television, but it would be very dangerous at the same time.
It would be incredibly dangerous. But that's all I have in American sports, Gus. I know you guys began your season this past weekend. What was just an absolute chaotic match?
Terrible first half, amazing second half. That's all I can say. Bad start, losing 2-0 at the half, and then second half, tying the game. Controversial call. The referee whistled the penalty. The linesman disallow. But anyway, got the point on the road after being down 2-0. Now, we can still say tomorrow, but in 9 minutes will be today. We'll play at home, Rio Branco against Kings de Jaú, the team that Rio Branco beat to be promoted to this A3 2 years ago. So it's a familiar adversary.
It's the one with the chicken stuff, the chicken history?
Yeah.
For that team, yes.
Not the chicken, the rooster. The rooster.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's just a male chicken, but yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully Rio Branco get the win tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Brazil time. Of course, a lot of Rio Branco fans not happy about this because, Rio Branco used to have lights, used to have, artificial lights to play at night, but since the robbery incident in 2018, no lights whatsoever. We have to play during the day.
So your lights were stolen?
The cables, the electric, all the electric part of it, the cables.
It's been 8 years, so they weren't able to buy new cables.
Oh, it's a very expensive operation. Like, it's either you play a season, either you play the lights, or you pay your roster.
Well, I guess it's fair enough.
Yeah, hopefully one day, maybe if we be back in the first division of the state of Sao Paulo, then maybe we'll see the lights again.
If you get high enough, maybe you can make enough money to do that. That would be nice.
Yeah, but if Rio Branco makes to the first division of the state of Sao Paulo, the Paulista Federation practically forces you to fix the lights. So it's like either you fix the lights or you don't play.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of the Sao Paulo State Championship, the first division, you know, Sao Paulo Football Club, the big team, one of the bigs, lost the derby against Palmeiras, and they're one position away from the relegation of the state championship. They have the same 4 points of Noroeste, the team who's the first in the relegation zone, but they have one win, and Noroeste has no wins. So, but yeah, it's a very tragic situation. I mean, there's still 3 games left. uh, I I was telling the radio that São Paulo plays Santos, Primavera, and then Ponte Preta. If São Paulo, uh, I would say, not win one of those 2 games, then I think they're gonna have some real trouble because I think Ponte Preta is gonna find a way to win at least one game, and then the last game is Ponte Preta São Paulo, a direct game to avoid relegation. So it's going to be interesting end of the first round of the Sao Paulo State Championship. I will say that. Palmeiras in the top, Corinthians as well. Santos, I don't know, but I think they're going to qualify as well. São Paulo, for me, is worry the most.
Yeah, and just looking for some of the other scores of the police here, I was kind of surprised at I don't know how you say it, ex Dijal losing at home 1-0 to Sao Wow. I don't know if I'm butchering that like
Let
crazy.
me let me let me try to find the game you're talking. São Bernardo Mirassol.
No. Ex Vida Zhao losing at home on Friday 1-0 to
Oh,
yeah.
the team that Rio Branco is gonna play on Wednesday. Yeah, they lost at home. Yeah, it was funny that no home team won in the first week of the third division of the State of São Paulo Championship.
Including
No,
our arch rivals failing to
yeah,
score. Well, I mean, I
yeah,
guess that's the point, but they didn't score a single goal against Rio Claro.
yeah. Do you know what's funny about this matchup? Do you know? Do you want to know what is funny? That the Santa Barbara do Oeste media definitely doesn't want to talk about it, but I'm not afraid to go there. Uh,
Mhm.
both of those teams, União Barbarense and Rio Claro president is also the GM for União Barbarense.
Absolutely. And of course, we all know we're all just waiting on the Derby.
The,
It's
did you
February.
realize? Did you realize what I'm saying? Rio Claro president is also at the same time União Barbarense's GM.
How's that even like allowed by the rules?
I don't know. I don't know. That's why there's a conspiracy theory that's why the Police Federation put this game in the first week. So then no suspicion whatsoever because this if this game was going to be played, let's say, in the last round and Rio Claro needed a win to avoid relegation, you know, then everybody will suspect, oh, União Barbarense is gonna let them win because they have the president is the GM of the other team as well. So the Police Federation kind of knowing that maybe they
Yeah.
like say let's put in the first week, then no suspicion whatsoever.
Yeah. That's
But
certainly
yeah,
fascinating.
that's the reality of Sao Paulo State country soccer. Those kind of issues, and it's so funny that the Santa Barbara do Oeste sports media, which is good, they have 2 radio stations who cover the team, are kind of afraid to go there because they don't want to get in trouble with the guy Clayton Vieira.
Yeah. But as I said, you're the arch rival. You're their arch rival, so you're going to bring it up.
Yeah, can't wait for February 28th. I cannot wait.
But in any case, hopefully I can catch the game tomorrow since I'm off. So I will try my best to do it. Well, I
Yeah,
guess
it's almost
that is.
bigger.
I think that is all the time that we have
Yeah,
tonight. Your episode 218 of the only American and Brazilian sports podcast here For Gus Tomazelli in a warm Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil, I'm Nick Hill in a frigid Chattanooga, Tennessee, United States. Thank you so much for watching Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports. Have a great night.